So I apologize that our sound, at least on our stream, completely cut out during the service. So I'm re-recording the sermon and posting it so that you can at least hear that part of the service. On the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb. I don't know that I have ever been so desperate for an Easter Sunday to arrive as I have this year. And I'm not sure why. Maybe I had hoped that all of this was just a bad dream from which Easter Sunday would shake me awake. Perhaps it came from my desire for things to be back to normal. Somewhere deep inside, I had thought that Easter would fundamentally change things. Perhaps I was just so desperate for the comfort of familiarity. Well-known hymns and readings and messy church Easter, things like that. But this Easter is not normal. No matter how hard I might pretend. To share one expression that I have seen floating around the internet, this is the lentiest Lent that I have ever lented. And today I am feeling that absence and the loss. Today I'm missing so many from our community of faith, even though we are gathering again for worship. I'm missing those who can't be with us, those who are watching online. I'm missing those who have died. I am missing our messy church Easter and events like that. And today, if I'm honest, I might even be missing God a little. And, oh yes, I know that God is everywhere. I know that. I mean, how often have you heard it said? But when you have been used to worshiping God in a particular way and connecting with God through a certain set of practices, their absence can feel like someone has stolen God, like someone has killed God and buried God in a deep, rocky abyss of despair. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." I wonder what it was that Mary was hoping to discover that first Easter. I wonder why she had come to the tomb. And I know what you're thinking. Wasn't she just coming to properly prepare Jesus' body for burial? Well, in Matthew, Mark, and Luke's account, yes. But in John's version, not really. For, you see, the secret disciples, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, had already prepared Jesus' body for burial on the Friday. Indeed, Nicodemus had brought an abundant, expensive, and wasteful amount of burial spices. It is part of Nicodemus's potential redemption arc. So why had Mary come? What was she hoping to find? Perhaps like us, she had hoped the loss of Friday was just a bad dream. Perhaps out of her love and devotion for Jesus, she had desired to keep vigil at his tomb. Maybe she had no rational explanation, but unable to sleep, found the strong pull of grief moving her feet towards what she had lost. Whatever it was she had hoped to find when she got there, she didn't. Because her plans were rudely interrupted by the living, risen God, who, as usual, had other ideas. When I imagine Easter, when I imagine that first Easter, I always imagine a sunrise. I imagine the light of the new day shining through the gaps in the leaves as the trees begin to cast shadows on the ground. I can feel the warmth of the sun's rays gently radiating off the disciples' cheeks as they come to see what has happened. And I can feel that same warmth begin to glow inside me. Yet in the desire for the dawn of Easter Sunday morning to break, it's so easy to miss what has been happening in the dark. There's this old saying that goes something like, "Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. Except that's precisely where God's good news comes. Because resurrection is not a daylight activity. It happens in the witching hours, when most of the world is overcome by exhaustion, despair, and sleep. It comes to those who are utterly broken, grieving the loss of hope for a future they had long desired. It arrives in ways that are so easy to miss when life has been turned upside down. But this is the good news this Easter Sunday, that the risen Christ comes to us while it is still dark. For those of us who spend our entire lives trying to remain in the safety and sentimentality that comes with affluence and privilege. For those of us who try desperately to avoid even admitting the reality of darkness and grief. For those of us who want to celebrate Easter Sunday without experiencing the utter terror of Friday, the resurrection's true power is really missed. You see, when the floodlights of your denial are shining brightly, the quiet, fluttering dance of the new light of Christ can seem insignificant or unreal. And how attractive it is to pretend things are other than they are. How seductive it is to try and cling to what used to be and dream about the return to some golden age in the past that never really existed. But resurrection isn't resurrection without death and loss and grief. And to paraphrase one writer, in the rush to return to normal, it is worth considering which parts of normal are worth rushing back to. I think all of us would admit that COVID-19 has come with significant cost and loss. But it has also brought about some amazing signs of newness and resurrection. Churches trying to be creative in their mission and ministry, neighbors looking out for one another, a deep appreciation for nurses, teachers, grocery store workers, and others who have been so often undervalued, and governments. Letting go of the old adage that you have to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, and instead providing for the poorest and the most vulnerable members of our societies and communities. And then I've wondered, why on earth couldn't we have done that before all this happened? When resurrection comes, when it truly comes, and the risen Christ so rudely interrupts our plans, it comes with both a promise and a demand on our lives. Because God isn't done yet. God is still weaving hope out of the chaos and unfolding life among us. The best is yet to come. And so Jesus says to us, as Jesus said to Mary all those years ago, do not hold on to me. Do not cling to what was, for if you do, you might just miss the best part. And the reality that what is gained is far greater than what was lost. So my friends, let us live into God's promised future this Easter Sunday, even while it is still dark. Amen.